We start tonight with a warning for SDG&E customers. You could be in store for another rate hike starting in 2028. Good evening and thanks so much for joining us. I'm Marcella Lee.
And I'm Steve Price in for Carla Chiquetto tonight. This week, the utility filed a formal request to raise rates by 8.6%. SDG&E is calling this a focused plan that maintains reliable service while also addressing rising costs. But many customers and consumer advocates are fiercely opposed.
News 8's Richard Allen is here with more on where this fight goes from here. Richard?
Well, that's right, guys. Now, this request for an 8.6% rate increase is far from final. Now, ultimately, it will be up to the 5 members of the California Public Utilities Commission to decide on what they consider a fair number. It's a process that could stretch out over the next year and a half, but many customers we spoke with today have already made up their minds.
8%, that's a lot. Oh, God, I think it'll be cruel.
Increasing is acceptable, but 8%, no, like, 2-3%, yes, but 8%, that's a lot. To me, that's a lot.
In this latest rate request, SDG&E is asking for a revenue requirement of roughly $3.8 billion for 2028, which breaks down to $2.9 billion for electric operations and $900 million for natural gas. If approved, that would translate to a year-over-year increase of about $14 for the average electric bill and $8.45 for the average gas bill.
We pay enough. We pay too much already, way too much.
In a statement, SDG&E said they understand that any increase in energy bills can be challenging for our customers, especially as many household costs continue to rise. SDG&E's 2028 rate request reflects a focused plan to manage costs responsibly while maintaining safe and reliable service, adding that part of the increase would cover rising costs outside of the utility's control, like insurance, healthcare, and cybersecurity.
UCAN will be filing a protest along with many other interveners.
Ed Lopez is executive director of UCAN, the Utility Consumers Action Network, which plans to fight the proposed rate increase.
It is getting out of hand.
Pointing out that over the past decade, SDG&E's average rates have nearly doubled. SDG&E says that this most recent request reflects continued efforts to improve efficiency and streamline operations, while making targeted investments in the infrastructure and systems our customers depend on every day. Lopez says that UCAN is calling out those expenditures.
This is adding to the burden. This is adding to the profitability that SDG&E gets. And yet this is found to be reasonable and acceptable by the commission. It's enough is enough.
While directly opposing SDG&E's rate request, Lopez also says UCAN is focusing on the California Public Utilities Commission itself, which will make the final decision.
Commission itself just needs to do its basic job. Think about Californians. Think about the customers and consumers first.
And now that SDG&E has filed this formal request with the commission, UCAN and other consumer groups have 30 days to respond in writing. But keep in mind, this is just the beginning of an extensive decision-making process that could last well over 18 months or so, Marcella, before a final vote's actually cast.
A lot of people wondering because every time SDG&E talks about their profits, they are making a sizable profit.
Right.
So they say they're doing more to cut their costs.
That's what they say, yeah.
How are they doing that?
Well, they say they're calling it a disciplined approach to managing their costs. One example is undergrounding those power lines in those high-risk wildfire areas. They've managed to bring that down, the cost of that, from about $6 million a mile, which is pretty hefty, in half to about $3 million a mile. I mean, that's just one example of what they say they're trying to do to bring down costs.
Very costly, but also mitigating the risk of
Absolutely.
those fires. So trying to balance everything.
Yeah.
But people not happy.
Not happy, and we should point out that people along the line will have a chance to make their voices heard over this next year and a half. So if they want to speak out, they'll have an opportunity.
All right. Thanks so much, Richard.
Thank you.